The year is 2021 and New Masters Academy is still the absolute #1 online art school in the universe. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy. I am in your mind. I am in your... Hi everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about how Hollywood artists are secretly getting into NFTs behind your back.
But before we get into it, make sure to jingle, touch all our bells and buttons. Help us feed the algorithm. You have been liking it. Thank you. It makes me very happy.
They look so good.
You guys look great today.
Just man, I can see it. Getting more sun, more tan, showing more skin.
Living life.
Living life, yeah.
Breathing with fresh air.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have a great week this week because you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah. First of all, I've been playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and I have to say, man, they don't make them like they used to. What a rich, beautiful, wonderful world. I don't know if you've ever played it, but I don't know. The more I play it, I'm like, man, how poignant for the times. There's so much tension between the alien races and the human race, and it just seems like, nothing's changed. But what hasn't changed is how amazing that franchise is. And you've been playing.
I've been playing Skyrim. I've been avoiding it for, what is it, like 10 years now? Almost 10 years.
Because you were afraid it would take your life.
Yes, and I also thought I wouldn't like it because it's kind of ugly.
But this newest version, update, whatever it is, not so bad.
Yeah, so I still didn't want to play it, but you downloaded it, just had it open, told me to sit down and play it, and I was like, okay, fine. And I played it, and then I didn't stop.
She didn't stop.
And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, these games, both these games I played in college, hold up. Not like most of the new things. Speaking of things not holding up, Disney's not doing so well, is it?
Yeah, so Disney is losing money.
How much money?
$600 million apparently.
Whoa.
I don't think this means much to Disney because they're a multi-billion-dollar company, so
they'll be fine.
Losing $600 million is whatever. But I like relishing in their pain.
You did it. You canceled Disney Plus. You didn't buy their crap. Avoiding Disneyland because he wants to go there infected with cockroaches and shit, apparently.
Oh god. No. But also there has been over the past few months, I think, but recently there has been a leak of a document from Disney, unnamed Disney show, whatever, where
unnamed Disney project,
yeah, and they're basically showcasing some weird diversity program training pamphlet thing that sounds like it's straight out of the White Fragility book episode that we talked about.
And if you didn't believe us that Hollywood just adores this pamphlet, White Fragility, and just makes content because they just want to brainwash people, read the statement. Should we read the statement?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's what the leaker had to say. The core of Disney's racial program is a series of training modules on anti-racism. In one module called Allyship for Race Consciousness, the company tells employees that they must take ownership of educating themselves about structural anti-black racism, and that they should not rely on their black colleagues to educate them because it is emotionally taxing. The United States, the document claims, has a long history of systemic racism and transphobia, and white employees in particular must work through feelings of guilt, shame, and defensiveness to understand what is beneath them and what needs to be healed. Disney recommends that employees alone Disney recommends that employees alone by challenging colorblind ideologies and rhetoric such as all lives matter and I don't see color. They must listen with empathy to black colleagues and must not question or debate black colleagues' lived experiences. Now, what does that sound like? That sounds like a certain book from a certain few episodes of our podcast, doesn't it?
Yeah, white fragility.
Just like there was nothing original in this statement.
No.
They just took a few sentences and paragraphs from that book and just planted it on here.
Yeah.
And like all of this talk, and it sounds so... I don't like how this feels like it's being shoved down the employee's throat.
Yeah.
You know, without any say or without any the employees can't really complain because they work at Disney.
It literally sounds like they took a chapter from the book and just kind of cut and spliced it into a document that they did for their diversity.
Kind of lazy.
Yeah, and yeah, it's sad. It's sad that we draw cartoons.
We draw cartoons.
Make theme parks or what, like we make movies and that kind of stuff. What does any of this have anything to do with our ability to do our jobs at work?
And this was all under this program called, I forgot what it was called, Reimagine Tomorrow?
Yeah, Reimagine Tomorrow. And
everyone's speculating as to which division, which department of Disney leaked this stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, this sounds like Imagineering.
Yeah.
You know?
It sounds like Imagineering.
You know, we're assuming, but if it's you brave souls in Imagineering, hey, you gotta clap. You gotta praise them for doing something right. Good job.
I'm very proud of the fine folks at Imagineering. I'm pretty sure it's Imagineering.
I'm pretty sure. I would wager.
I would bet
good money
on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and apparently like a lot of people at Lucasfilms are like leaking stuff
to Victor Van Doomcock
because
and Roddick.
Yeah,
and the quartering.
Not happy, and it makes me happy. All of last year, I felt very alone, not lonely, but just it felt like I don't do anything. Like no matter how much I say things, no matter how much like secretive support I guess I have, I feel like no one has the balls to stand up for themselves. And it's very discouraging to feel like you're just an individual. What power?
Fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, I'm just an individual fighting a losing battle. How much power do I actually have to convince anyone of anything? And truly, it's not like I want to. It makes me feel like I'm not alone in this fight, and that's a nice feeling. I'm not alone. You're not alone. No one's alone. We all kind of feel this way. No one's gonna say anything because they're scared for their job security, or they know that they can't just do what I did and like burn everything to the ground.
But what I was hoping would happen actually happened, that enough people did little tiny things.
Yeah.
Did their part.
Cancel Disney Plus.
Leak something. Said something on the internet.
Yeah.
Expressed how all this stuff that they were like holding and feeling, and just let it out. Like I'm happy that people made the small efforts, and like don't think that Janet and I didn't see it. We saw.
Yeah.
We it's nice to have people like the quartering fill us in on this kind of stuff, but we saw how many people were like, mutiny at Disney. Yeah.
Even if it's anonymously,
pretty amazing.
Even if it's just like,
even if it's a small tiny move, because just imagine 4 or 5 years ago, the stuff that's happening now, unfathomable.
Yeah.
Like it would never happen.
Yeah. So up until this point,
Good job.
I felt very bitter and resigned to thinking that, they're doomed because no one's willing to say anything.
Yeah, from my perspective, it just felt like, as your partner, I was just trying my best to support you. And I believe in this, but I knew that I wouldn't impose anybody to believe in us.
Yeah.
So, it was pretty lonely.
Yeah.
And we just kind of had each other.
Yeah.
And we're lucky in that way that, like, if that's all we have, I guess, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. And this moment, this leak in particular, made me feel like a tiny little spark of hope is there.
Dude, this is a big deal. Like, this is, man, if you were to get caught doing this, it's bad news for your career period. Like, I don't think you're really blacklisted at all. I mean, like, look at you. You just got, like, you got a deal from Wacom and a few studios.
Yeah. So, like, everyone, like, thinks that because of what I did, just my very benign, non-controversial why I quit my job at Disney video, in my opinion, truly is not controversial, because I literally don't say anything incriminating, whatever.
But to leak Disney's diversity critical race theory training,
people must
that's
think,
risky, man.
That's scary. But truly it's not, though. Like, because, like, I can do what I did, and, like, I still was able to get Wacom to work with Wacom on, like, an April Fool's video. So, like, you're
fine.
I'm fine, and I'm
but, like, the risk that these people are taking, pretty crazy.
It's crazy, but I want them to know that it's not. That, like, even if you do get caught? It's like, you'll still be fine. Like, I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine.
I think artists will always find a way if they want to find a way.
I don't want to, like, gloss over the fact that, like, this whole thing harkens back to an episode we did on white fragility and anti-Asian whatever hate a few like a month ago. I don't know how many episodes ago now, but so after we did that episode, it was really interesting because I feel like the response was really positive.
Well, yeah, we were expecting, like, I'm not sure if you noticed. I'm sure people who watch the show regularly, there was a point there where we were just like, let's see how much trouble we can get into. Oh, let's talk about guns. Let's talk about unpopular political opinions. Like how far can we go? And that was the first time, like 60 episodes in.
Yeah. We talked
about white fragility, and that was the first time we got any sort of pushback from YouTube.
Yeah. So what happened was we did the episode, and we knew from the beginning, like, out of everything we've done, for some reason this felt the most like we can't talk about this, even though if you listen to the episode, it's so benign.
It's so benign.
It's so, like, but not controversial.
We knew strategically with the whole what is it? Anti-Asian whatever campaign, that, like, no matter what you say, no one can really retaliate.
Yeah. So because I'm Asian,
right?
Well, technically we're both.
I mean,
Asian,
these aren't our rules, by the way.
Yeah.
These are your rules.
Yeah,
these are
this is
D'Angelo's rules.
Yes,
Hollywood's rules.
But I knew that, like, I felt like I needed, as an Asian person, I wanted to say something that, isn't the mainstream opinion. Mm-hmm. But what happened was, so, like, we like bleeped all the swear words. And
this is the first time doing that too. We were just like, okay, this is going to be one of the hottest episodes. Like, it's going to be spicy. I don't know how crazy it'll get. So let's just
tone it down.
Simmer it down by censoring all the bad words. Yeah. Or as much as I could possibly.
We swear a lot, so I don't know.
It's fun.
And I uploaded it, and it has that, like, green money sign, which means it's suitable for all advertising. I didn't do anything wrong, and so it's good to go. And I just forget about it for a little while, because when you upload a video, I don't, like, pay attention to it. I kind of just move on to the next video. And then a few weeks later, I go back just to check. There's something like that was telling me to check for some reason, that one in particular. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go check. Because just to see if it's still green.
Even you and I felt like, wow, that episode.
Yeah,
we're probably going to get in trouble for this one. Yeah, like, we were kind of, like, resigned to that fate. Yeah. We're just like, we're probably gonna get in big trouble.
I was like, even if we get in trouble for it, I'm happy I said it.
Right, me too. Yeah. That's what I thought. after like editing that episode, I was like, everything I say here, like it's what I feel.
What I feel. It's my honest opinion.
My honest opinion.
I shouldn't feel
like I should hide any of these things.
That, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And I felt like it was important.
Yeah, it felt good. I don't remember we were driving, I forgot where. I think we were driving to some estate sale. Yeah. And then you told me that like after doing that episode, it was like we lifted a huge weight on ourselves.
I felt like I feel like my conscience was clear or something like that. I just felt like
all of these like pent up
feelings,
frustrations we've held on to about like just
the world and everything that was happening and for the past year.
And how we couldn't say anything.
Yeah. And so I check, and lo and behold, it is now a yellow $, which means it's limited ads, which basically means it kills your video. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It just means for some reason
you're not getting any money, right?
You get much less money, absolutely nothing. So for some reason, it's not suitable for all advertisers.
And that was the first time this has ever happened to us?
First time.
Since we did the TikTok episode where we were trying out, we were testing the copyright stuff.
But that's obvious. It's copyright music. But all, like, every single video I've had up until now have all been fine. And so I was like, interesting. And then I went down and I looked at our previous videos, specifically like the gun ones, and they're fine. And I was like, you mean to tell me, like, every time we've pushed the line of what we're honestly, I feel like we're just testing what we're allowed to say and what we're not allowed to say. And like, it's funny because all of this should be allowed because it's not controversial. Right. It's not offensive to anyone, really. Right. So I think it's funny. We're always like, you don't understand how much self-censorship you actually do to yourself until you put yourself on a podcast and you realize, oh wait, can I say that? I don't know if I can say that, but like, it's not a bad thing to say. I just don't know if I'm allowed.
It requires a lot of thinking ahead of what you're about to say.
Yeah.
And like, it's hard.
It's weird.
Yeah.
And
we have brain farts all the time. Why do you think we have like so many edits? It's not cute. Like, I'm sure a lot of like, oh, you should be raw, guys. You guys should like put the real edit. I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't think you want to see us go like, what was the point again? For like 30 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, demonetized, limited ads, and then I was like reading through, I think whatever it said, why, and I'm like, it doesn't do any of what you say. It's like we're not even swearing, we're not saying anything offensive, we're not doing anything. So then I like send in an appeal. And
what do appeals do for people?
Appeals is basically asking for a manual review of the video, because I assume. So
you're asking for a human to sit there and watch.
Yeah, okay. A human to be like, hey, human, can you like
watch this?
Because
the algorithm
got it wrong or something, which doesn't make sense to me. How could it be green? Because it went through. We have an extra check now before when a YouTube video is uploaded, it goes through a check before it's allowed to be uploaded. So like, it went through the check, it got a green, it was up for a few weeks, it was still green, a few weeks later it turns yellow out of nowhere. and then I appeal for a human to like, hey human, can you like
watch this video,
make it so it's not yellow? And then they watch it, I guess, and then they send me back that like, oh, the video is fine, it's back to all advertisers suitable. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. We didn't say anything controversial. It's amazing. It's like we talked about guns, we talked about all of these crazy things that people would never talk about on YouTube, but that one episode where we encourage people to think for themselves and not buy into whatever slogan that's shoved down their throats, that's the episode. We get a little bit of push. We get yellow for it. We literally said, we think you should read this book.
Yes.
Even if we disagree with it, we think you should read it.
Because we want you to think for yourself. And
we want you to know what it is that these crazy people clearly at like Disney, HR, whatever, diversity, whatever, are peddling to you. And to think if you're an artist, you're going to escape all of... No. Dude, no. You're gonna start working at these companies and they're gonna like force feed this strange religion to you.
And you're going to feel powerless to do anything.
Yeah,
and so you're just going to accept it and pretend, or, you know, just assimilate.
Yeah, or you'll just not understand the ridiculous rules. But if you just read this book, you'll be like, oh, okay, those are the rules I have to play by.
Yeah.
And we literally say, like, I don't know, we disagree, and this book is ridiculous, but we think you should listen. And that gets limited ads. Why? Because I'm not saying the mainstream opinion. Because, oh no, minorities who don't agree with you. Oh, shocker.
Oh. It's kind of racist to think that we will agree with you for whatever. It's kind of crazy. Before we move on, you want to talk about Shang-Chi for a hot second?
Oh, well, apparently Shang-Chi, the latest Marvel movie coming out, whatever, is banned in China, as well as, I think, the Eternals, because China doesn't like the fact that the director criticized them, apparently. And
the director criticizes
China,
the CCP, the government.
Yeah, the government of China, right. And how they're not all that great. And so they banned the Eternals and Shang-Chi in China. And I thought, like, man, that's hilarious. I think because it's so clear now that Disney doesn't care about you. They don't care about their fans. They don't even really care about giving you good content or making good movies or anything at this point. They want money, and not even your money. They want the Chinese money.
Anything.
Like, the more money. They don't think you have enough money, so they're going to China. And then, like, I have this weird theory that China shook hands with Disney and was like, yeah, we're gonna work with you, we're gonna give you billions of our Chinese dollar. And then right when Disney's like dependent on that, because they sold you guys out, they sold literally everyone else, the US, Canada, the West out, and they're like, sucks to be you, we're gonna placate to China now. And then China, right as that happens, is like, well, fuck you, we're gonna like ban all your movies, and now we are Hollywood.
Stab, 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 stab. And Mickey's like, oh, 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 oh. So how is Disney doing compared for a year ago from today? How are things? You know, a year ago from today, Disney Plus, amazing. Yeah, Mandalorian, amazing. Love it,
amazing.
Yeah.
Now, not looking so good. Not looking so good at all. And while all of this is happening,
I don't think we didn't forget.
There's the Animation Guild, which is supposed to be our labor union, which are supposed to represent us, the workers, the artists, for our contracts, labor disputes, anything related to, our jobs. That's what, you have to pay guild dues to be a part of this union. It's kind of like a fraternity, sorority. You have like membership fees.
And they're supposed to be like, oh, I got your back, man. Got your back.
Like, oh,
these studios won't abuse you. I got your back.
Yeah. Instead, it's a political arm of California, in my opinion, because they just keep sending really strange political emails asking me to support certain politicians and asking me to vote for certain things. And I'm just like, what about your jobs?
What about our wages?
What about our wages? What about the guild negotiations that are coming up soon? That's kind of important, right? That's what we pay you for. That's what you pay your membership guild dues for. Instead,
about $1,200 or whatever a month, right?
No, there's like a crazy initiation fee, and then like there's like a few $100s you have to pay every single quarter. But like,
and then they send you an angry mail message. You didn't pay your dues.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Okay, fine. And we're gonna tell your employer. Yeah, that they're political, sadly, and they do not care about their jobs apparently. Because I got an email, and this like it was an email about like join us to march for May Day. Like May 1st is May Day. We're gonna like do some weird caravan thing through whatever to protest anti-Asian blah 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 and immigration reform or whatever it was.
Oh, Janet Chan, head Asian. What do you think of all of this?
Like
Clearly she is Asian. What are your thoughts?
Clearly I'm the spokesperson for all yellows. But, I think it's much bullshit because I didn't ask for this.
Well, you didn't, turn in the petition. You didn't come up with this idea. Surely it must have been you.
I'm just like, what made you think any Asian cares? And I was just kind of like, this is like way after a lot of the like anti-Asian stuff already died down. So I was like, first of all, no one cares anymore. By the way, we predicted no one cares anymore. When was the last time you heard someone talk about the anti-Asian hate?
Crickets. Man.
Yeah, like, whoa, it was hot for like a month, and then lo and behold, just like always, no one cares about people like me. And I was kind of like, this is such a waste of time. Like, our negotiations are coming up. Well, not our. Your negotiations are coming up.
I'm already resigned to the fact that I'm gonna get screwed here
for the end of
and
time.
And you are my plan B. So the way this works is that I, stay and I help out, and that as soon as it becomes not viable for me to work here anymore, hopefully you have
developed a plan A.
Yeah.
Plan B turns into plan A.
Exactly.
And
strategy, guys, strategy. We didn't have to convince little, students to trade our place,
Like, that's why, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. But yeah, I was like, but your guild negotiations are coming up, which means if you don't know what they are, every 3 years, and you only get this one chance every 3 years to negotiate your contract, because you don't get to really decide how much you make. The guild does. So like if you're new, you're like a college student, you're like, I'm gonna work in animation, and then you go to Disney, they want to hire you, and you're like, I want to get paid this much. You don't actually get to say, I want to get paid this much and negotiate for yourself. You technically can, but honestly, like, they're not.
Your chance of success
is slim. Yeah. So they'll pay you depending on how well, I guess, the guild has negotiated, and everyone and their mother in this streaming animation world now know that like there are you get paid basically like a third less than everyone else if you're not on a network TV show. If you're on a streaming show on Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO Max, all those and more, then you probably are getting paid a third less. And if you have two brain cells to rub together, you understand that that's kind of where we're like, who has cable anymore? Who pays for cable service? And like most shows are going to be network. So like, long story short, it doesn't seem they're more concerned with their May Day rally than what their actual job is. And like, to make matters worse, I didn't find out that May Day is a far left holiday, I guess.
Oh, I'm so shocked.
I was just kind of like, of course. Of course. But I was just like, man, truly, if I had it my way, I wouldn't care. I want to be apolitical. I just want to draw cartoons, man. I just want to
tell good stories.
To tell good stories. If it were just about that, I probably would have never left. But because clearly it is about weird anti-racism pamphlets and May Day rallies and all, like, clearly animation is about that. I didn't know, like, all you artists, if I'm the first to tell you that by getting into animation, getting into Hollywood is basically getting into politics, there you go. You now know. You're not really drawing cartoons. You're playing office politics and real politics.
possibly making propaganda.
Yes. I think so.
Whatever. You do what you do for money, I guess.
Yeah. But that is all to say that we're not the only ones noticing this, right? We are just, I feel like we've grown in audience simply because I think other people have seen this as well. And I know for a fact that a lot of people in the industry agree with me as well, even if, you know, they're not brave enough to say, or public enough.
I mean,
they
we
don't
never really expect anybody to.
Yeah. So Hollywood artists see all these things, just like we see all these things. We're not special. We're not like clairvoyant. We're like, there are many people who see these
We're
things.
just saying it out loud.
Yeah.
In public.
Yeah. And
everyone's hoping that no one finds us. No one discovers
finds
this.
out, yeah.
So do us a huge favor. If you think this is juicy or interesting, an interesting conversation in any way, just send it to a friend. You know, I know we draw all day long. You gotta find something to listen to.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very easy, especially if you're drawing a lot, to run out of podcasts and audiobooks. So if you find this podcast remotely interesting, the biggest favor you could do is share it with somebody.
Share it, like it. Engage. It's very clear now, I hope, that Hollywood artists, people in Hollywood, don't believe in Hollywood itself. They don't believe that, just like we don't believe that Hollywood is going to last, at least be the way it is.
Kind of turn to something else.
Yeah.
But not as the thing that we know it, maybe.
As big as it is, as popular, as powerful, as lucrative. I think a lot of smart people can see that what we see, that it's not long it's dying. I keep saying I have to remind everyone every once in a while, Hollywood is dying. I told you so. And the thing about a lot of these artists is like, I think it's interesting that they openly would rather shit on me than to agree with me, even though I know they agree secretly with me because of their actions. And
you've had these conversations behind the scenes back then when you were employed.
Yeah, like everyone agree. Like what I'm saying, I get a few different kind of responses, but one of them sometimes is like, yeah, we all know this. I'm like, clearly you all don't know this. There's a good amount of secrecy to, like, you might know this because you all like talk about it at work. But then at the same time, I also get the kind of comments that are like, no, it's not like that at all. It's totally not like that. And I go like, so which one is it then? We all know that
how are both happening at the same time?
Yeah.
And those responses, man.
So
we saw so much.
Yeah.
We saw so much pent up ugliness.
Yeah. Like there's a lot happening like behind the scenes in the minds of people that like I wonder if other people can see it. But and a lot of these people, the reason why I say like by their actions it really seems like they believe me. They do believe the same things I say, because they are selling you, young artists trying to get success in Hollywood or whatever, a dream that everyone knows doesn't exist. I think
overblown at the very least, don't you think?
Hyperbolic?
Hyperbolized.
Yeah. Of like, it's cool, yes, to like draw cartoons all day, even though that's really not what you do every single day as a living. Cooler than, I don't know, a lot of other menial tasks, but it's not like you're a celebrity. Like you don't get that kind of power. It's not like you're super wealthy. You don't get paid that much. And they're selling you this weird idea of like stardom and this life that isn't real. And they know that it's not real, but they're selling it to you in the form of like courses and all this stuff. And like those are like, for one, I'm glad I didn't take a lot of these types of courses, and that I like I had teachers that were not big fans of Hollywood. They were more interested in my well-being as an artist.
Your flexibility.
Yeah.
And your abilities.
My longevity. Because this is like for life. This isn't like...
Oh, I just know how to draw a Tangled Princess.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. What do I do when I'm laid off?
Yeah. Like, those are the teachers I trust. That aren't trying to tell me that, like, you can draw like this artist and you can be like whatever famous studio, whatever. They're more interested in, like, I want you to be the best you can be. And they're selling you these courses and this dream because they know, like, this is their ticket out. Like, they want to switch places with you. They want to get you in and they want to get out with your dollars. And
it's despicable. I think it's really gross. That's what I'm seeing. It's what I keep telling you all the time is, like, I can't, like, if you're a student, I can't look at you in the eyes and say this industry will be here in 5 years.
Yeah.
I can't promise you that. And no one has, and everywhere I look, people are still peddling their classes saying, I'm a Hollywood person. I worked on these Netflix shows and Disney shows. And it's like, and then we see our coworkers at like Netflix or at DreamWorks going like, yeah, they laid a ton of us off. Do you guys have any work?
Yeah.
And it's just so disgusting to me. It's so like human centipede type of disgusting of like, so you're going to leave this industry because you, the teacher, knows that it's sinking. And you are going to trade places with your student, your this hopeful student that they just want to make the next big cartoon. But you're not going to tell them that you're not even sure if like they're going to be paid right because their cartoons are just going to be up on the internet on some streaming service.
Yeah.
And you're trading places with them.
Yeah.
And you're not telling them and you're not being honest with these students. It's despicable to me.
And like
it's like geez, like how the theaters just closed down. Like they just closed down the theaters. Like and all of this stuff about Disney, it's like what, like, and people canceling Disney Plus, like how where do you think this is going to end up?
Yeah.
And how could you tell any student that like, oh, you'll be fine? You know, you just have to like, draw perspective and draw hands just like this and you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. And let's just talk about art technique for the end of day and just ignore all the facts.
Yeah, and like we paid a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And we, had a lot of sleepless nights and we sacrificed a lot for this. Like I think busted our asses for this stuff. And I would like, and you recently with some students had to kind of push people as hard as we went, and it's certainly not for everyone, and I don't think that I don't think what I did was worth it sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think like everything I did for what? To play office politics, to like just get paid a third less one day just because I'm going to work on some streaming show? What does it matter if it's streaming or it's on TV? It takes a lot of effort to make a cartoon show. Clearly the studios don't care about all like these artists like using their talents and everything that they have to make these wonderful worlds, and they're getting paid a third less. And it just makes me think, like, just like I said in the previous podcast where we talked about this, it just makes the streaming shows look worthless.
Yeah. When like, yeah, it boggles my mind that like still in 2021, I'm like the only person that talks about the Guild. I'm the only one that talks about like the reality of what it is to work. Instead, everyone else chooses to focus on how to draw hands. And like it's fine. Like you need that in the world. But at the same time, like I can get better at drawing hands. I can read books on it. I can do so much. Who at my age when I was like 18, whatever, trying to figure out my life, who would have told me this? Who would have told me that, like, oh, the guild kind of sucks. They're like a political organization that I have to pay for one day. I'm forced to pay for because I'm part of this industry. And like, oh, also, like, there's a lot of things outside of drawing and art that you have to do, like play office politics. That's like 90% of the job. That's not what I signed up for. And like,
it's not what we were trained for.
No, it's not what we're artists. You think we're good with people? No. And like, who no one talked about it at the time. We all still have to figure it out for ourselves once you start working, truly how bad it can get on your mind. But like, me trying to talk about it for once, I'm just like, oh, I understand now why people don't want to talk about it, because of how you're treated when you talk about it. Not anyone can withstand how you're treated when you talk about this stuff. So I get it, but I'm just like, really? Still 2021, it has to be me, huh?
This little Asian girl on the corner of the internet.
Or like, I have to be the one because I literally have no stakes in the game. Like, I was part of it and now I just don't care. But like,
renegade.
I care enough to be like, man, that's ridiculous. Look at that. Look at it. Look at it. Really look at it.
Look at it. Look at that pile of shit over there.
Yeah.
See, it's a pile of shit. They're telling you it's not a pile of shit. I know. You can smell it.
And to make matters worse, a few episodes ago we talked about boogie nights, and we talked about how we think this is about Hollywood, a movie about Hollywood, and how like there's a scene that I really love in there where like what's his name, Mark Wahlberg yells at his mom, and it's very,
I'm gonna be somebody.
Yeah, that I said that scene is artistic representation of like all artists on the inside, and how we all feel like we need to like prove ourselves in some sort of way
and make our existences worth it.
Yeah, because like we all had somebody who was like, you're not gonna be anything, and then you're like, I'll show you. So like, Hollywood, in my opinion, runs on spite. Like, everything. We are people who somehow are super motivated by spite. It's like we do crazy things out of spite. And to like, the example of that, I guess, is like Lightbox is basically a spite con to spite CTN. DreamWorks is basically a spite studio.
Disney.
Just like Disney. And like
Katzenberg left.
Yeah.
Disney. Yeah. That's right.
Like, it just seems like
never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone has to get wronged at one point
in order for any sort of progress to happen. Janet had to get wronged
for me to make a video, I guess out of spite, but also as like a warning. And Hollywood runs on spite. That's just fact. Yeah. And it kind of goes into like what we're going to talk about, how like Hollywood is secretly getting into like NFTs. But before that, I need to talk about like who the like NFT community people are.
We need to set a scene.
Yeah. So I told this story before about like I had a coworker who was really into cryptocurrency back when I was working at Disney, and
he was treated basically like the Milton, like an Office Space, the Milton of the Office.
Yeah, he is like, especially at Disney, because there's so many cliques, and if you're not part of it, then you are basically badmouthed behind. Like, literally, I feel like everyone is bad. Artists have this thing where, like, we, for some reason, are so self-conscious and so, like, I don't know, petty, that, like, if you are, like, in a conversation with someone, you're gonna start talking shit about someone eventually.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating because I feel like other creative types aren't like this. to this degree. It just seems like artists are just love comparing each other and saying like, oh, I'm better than this person, or this person sucks. Or
we went to what is that, vintage LA Vintage Guitars in Burbank, and I was just looking at really super expensive guitars, but I overheard two, I guess, session musicians. If you don't know what a session musician is, they're basically like music freelancers. You know, like for let's say there's a pop song that needs a guitar part, or a commercial needs a guitar part. These are basically musical freelancers for, let's say, a jazz band or something. And they were just like talking about, you know, gear and stuff, but then they talked about this, like, one of the most amazing session players, Josh Smith, and they were just talking, just opining and talking about, like, man, what a guy. What a guy. What a guy. Like, he knows how to play jazz. What a cool cat, man. Like, he knows how to play jazz. He knows his stuff. He knows, like, really tasty lyrical licks. He plays like he's singing with his guitar. And just, like, nothing but praise. And it's just like like most animation conversations I've ever heard, it's just a bunch of people going like
talking.
Yeah, talking. Can you believe that motherfucker? That production? Can you believe what he said? Blah 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 blah. Like the nerve. Who does he think he's talking to? It's just like just negative all the time. Like all just super negative. Like in fact there was like a few people. Like there was one person I think of, like, on the top of my head, who's just like is the type of person you walk in and they go, hey, how's it going? And you have your old buddy and chummy and you're having a good time. And as soon as you leave, they're gonna talk over to their other friend over there and they're gonna be like, I fucking hate that asshole.
Yeah.
Believe that person. Fuck that person.
There's so many people like that in animation. I can't even list them all. But,
yeah, friendly people you have to look forward to. Young animation hopefuls. Super friendly, super secure, super have a firm grip on themselves as people.
Yeah, and like with this coworker that I had, he was, I was new, so obviously I am kind of ostracized simply for being
the new person.
Yeah, but like he and another coworker of mine, actually a few of them, were just like ostracized because like of multiple reasons, but him in particular is because he talked too much about cryptocurrency.
Like a lot.
And if he's the type that's just like really into tech.
Yeah, like imagine me, like if I were free and open enough just talk about like guitar with people. I'm just really enthused by it and it's constantly on my mind. I don't like, there are certain people like that with anime or even Disney stuff and no one bats an eye, but as soon as like some dude is talking about cryptocurrency and you're not really sure about it and all this stuff, it's just like, get away from me. Get away from me.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah. It's usually people going like, and okay, I need to go to the bathroom. Bye-bye. Trying to
look at the time.
Oh,
look at the time.
He's coming over. I'm leaving. I don't want to be in part of this conversation. It's a lot of that. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, especially after like getting into the community and really like trying to learn about the space and NFTs and all that stuff, it's a bunch of these types of nerdy, well-meaning people. That's all.
We're just really enthused. Like, this is the future, everybody.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And because of that, they're used to being the underdog in a lot of ways.
The Miltons.
The Miltons of the world from like Office Space. And a lot of them, it's their first time finally getting like a break. Finally.
This is my chance.
Yeah.
To
make it big and to make money off of their art when previously you have to do freelance or whatever to work for the man. Like this is truly more similar to like becoming a gallery artist, like a fine artist who just like paints and does whatever they want and gets paid for it, which is why Twitter artists tend to not like Instagram artists.
If you can't already tell, lots of infighting in the art community
recently.
Not looking so good.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the end of Mass Effect 3 over there in the art community, just having all sorts of civil wars and.
And like, so the reason being is like I see this a lot, that the Twitter NFT art community really dislikes Instagram artists, partly because Instagram artists who have larger followings tend to have really big heads. Like they won't like engage with you, they won't talk to you, they'll kind of look down on you if you don't have a certain amount of followers and you're not like on their level or that kind of thing. Whereas like, especially in the NFT space, people who have really large Twitter followings might actually collaborate with you, even if you only have like a few hundred, a few thousand Twitter followers and that kind of thing. And that's like unheard of on Instagram. On Instagram, it's more like the rich help each other.
Collude.
Yeah, they always comment on each other's Instagram posts. They're always the ones who they're forming their own little clique online. And it's like a squad, like, they all are friends, or at least it seems that way, that kind of thing. I have been listening to a new book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and it is a fantastic book about the fact that you can't hurt him and how you can also not get hurt yourself by caring about what other people think. And if you would like to listen to this book, head over to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast, where you will get 1 free audiobook or 2 free Audible original audiobooks. That's 3 audiobooks in total. If you want to listen to this book, head over to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast. So that leads me into crypto and cryptocurrency and NFTs. And for all the people who haven't listened to our previous NFT videos, I don't think NFTs are bad for the environment. I don't think they're destroying the earth.
Oh no, you can't just say that. Do you have any proof?
Yes, because there's plenty of articles. One being the Harvard Business Review did an article explaining how crypto isn't ruining the environment, because using a lot of energy doesn't mean it's coal emission energy. So they explained that Bitcoin in particular is run 70% on renewable energy. Even if it uses a lot of energy, doesn't mean it's in carbon emissions and stuff like that. So no, it's not destroying the environment. So to begin with, I don't think anything is wrong with Bitcoin. I don't think anything is wrong with Ethereum. And not only that, it's if you know anything about tech people, they're very forward thinking, right? They're very innovative. They care about doing things new and better and faster and whatever. What makes you think they want to ruin the environment? What makes you think they're evil mustache trolling people who just want to get rich quick and hate you and want to burn the earth down? That's so ridiculous. And they, in fact, it's to me, it's kind of they heard everyone's complaints about NFTs ruining the environment, and they're okay, fine,
we'll make one that's not so bad.
Yeah.
And what's that called?
Clean NFTs.
All right.
So clean NFTs exist. They have existed, but once everyone started complaining.
And how do they ensure that it's clean?
I'll have a video later that explains this.
Cool.
But long story short, it's basically how it functions. Ethereum and Bitcoin is proof of work, and Tezos and Wax is proof of stake. And it's kind of the internal mechanisms. One uses more energy, one doesn't as much because of how it's mined.
Can you get one medium rare?
What?
Because it's there's steak.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That just happened.
That hurts.
That just happened.
But anyways, clean NFTs exist.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. Let me laugh. Okay. Okay.
But, so clean NFTs exist.
Mm-hmm.
They have existed. They're there. And because of all of this, a lot of artists have also adopted Tezos as a platform as a currency to mint clean NFTs. And the reason why they adopted Tezos, in my opinion, is because it's worth something. Right now it's currently like $6 for one Tez. And the thing about all of this is the worth of the coin is kind of important because
it's okay, I know it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are so lucky, Janet's just like uploading all of this information to her head matrix style and just going
I lost my train. The worth of a cryptocurrency is kind of important because you have to understand or look at things in a way that is more than just people want to buy my art. You have to see this as an investment. It's like stocks. It's tech combined with finance combined with
creativity.
Art. Yeah. And it's important to understand both sides of it. Someone who is an investor, someone who's going to buy your art, and as an artist. So there are certain blockchains or certain currencies that you want your art to be minted on. As like, think a bit of it as an investor. You want to spend $100 on something that hopefully will turn into $200 later. Depending on what kind, if it's on Ethereum, if it's on Tezos, it kind of says how much your art is worth, depending. And that, like, people do think about that, like what platform they're buying the art from, and like
that's part of the investment.
That's part of it, yeah. Because when people are buying your art as an investment, similar to in like the fine art world, they're hoping it's not just because they think your art's pretty. I think if only we were so fortunate that the average person understands art to the level, to the degree that you wish they did. But no, a lot of times people they don't buy art because they think something's pretty, especially like thousands of dollars. Like, let's say your piece is worth $1,000. They're not buying it because they think, oh, I just love the art. It's because they think they can make money off of it. It's a store of value, that kind of thing. So it's pretty important. And also being widely adopted is pretty important too, because like you want people to eventually get to the point where like it becomes normal to buy Bitcoin, to buy Ethereum, to buy Tezos or whatever. And that's why people get really excited about when like a certain coin or crypto is being widely adopted. So when I first started seeing a lot of the artists really jumping into Tezos, I really started paying attention, because I was like, oh, they're trying to do a good thing. They're like, even though I don't believe normal NFTs are bad for the environment, they're like trying to do extra good.
Yeah, placating people, and just like, okay, we hear you.
Yeah,
responding to criticism.
And they found a way to do NFTs in a clean way. Yeah. And because of the wide adoption, I really do feel like Tezos is probably going to go up in value, and that because it's worth $6, if you sell your art for like 2 or 3 Tezos, that's a good like few bucks. That's like selling a print or something. Like, that's pretty good. An artist can still make money off of something like that, compared to like other cryptocurrencies that are worth like 0.0000 something cents or whatever. So the value of a certain coin is pretty important to what platform that you decide you want to mint your NFT on. And we can't really talk about this topic without also talking about Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Because he's been making a lot of news recently.
Yeah, recently he said that, in recent news he said, oh, we're going to allow Bitcoin. You'll be able to buy a Tesla. This is great. And now, because there's this huge push that says that Bitcoin uses, it's just bad for the environment. Yeah. Like, even Bill Mayer, I think, in his show said something about that. That Tesla was like, oh, sorry, folks, we're not going to accept Bitcoin anymore. we're just gonna use normal paper money.
Yeah,
good old money.
it's bad for the environment.
USD, yeah.
And I hope all of you are paying attention to all of this, who aren't, I guess, interested in the crypto space, tech, all this stuff. If you're not, then I don't know, sucks to be you. But I think everyone in crypto and NFTs who are smart knew what this was. And right after Elon Musk tweeted
And how do
this,
you know for sure, though?
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
It's an observation, it's an opinion, but it's, I mean, common sense also.
You're kind of saying it looks like...
Yeah, it looks like Elon Musk manipulated the market a little bit because he saw what he could do just with like Dogecoin.
Yeah.
Clearly, like his tweets make a difference, but
Man, what is it like to have that much power?
I know, seriously. And the reason why I don't believe him and his statement is because he's smart enough to know what all that I know and more. I'm sure he knows more than me.
And he's thinking way ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
And his wife, Grimes, made an NFT. Like, I was like, come on, man. You're lying. But he says this, and Bitcoin and Ethereum dip. And guess what everyone did? They bought the dip.
Oh.
Because guess what?
Uh-huh.
It's going up again.
Janet Chan.
Yeah.
Did you buy the dip?
No, kind of.
What?
I kind of bought the dip,
Oh.
but not really. I didn't like buy at the right time. But
Oh, you're bad at timing.
yeah. But whatever.
Yeah.
If you had listened to me back like when all this NFT hype was like happening and people were like shitting on NFTs, you would have doubled your money. Like, that's how crazy Ethereum has like skyrocketed recently. Like I made money without selling any NFTs, like simply by like owning Ethereum. But
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like we have to grind, and I have to like make something out of nothing every day, and you just sit there and gain wealth. Janet's on a whole nother level.
I just, am lucky, I guess. But that, I guess, brings me to explain what Legend is. Legend is this new NFT platform basically created by a bunch of Hollywood people. And when you scroll through their catalog of artists who are going to be dropping, if you are aware, if you're savvy enough, you'll start to realize, oh, these are a bunch of Hollywood artists who are all friends, big Instagram artists, colluding together, making sure that no one else can get this kind, like, also get in. You have to be part of the club. Creating NFTs, clean NFTs. And I was like, oh, this is how they're gonna have their cake and eat it too. And I just found it very appalling when I was looking through the site for a number of reasons. And first and foremost, the whole like Hollywood artists colluding together to make money, it bothers me, but not that much, actually.
It's human nature.
It's human nature.
The old adage, strength in numbers.
Yes. It's literally, if you don't know that that's how Hollywood works, that's also how life works.
Yeah.
And if, unfortunately, you're people like us who dislike that kind of thing.
Like, we want merit-based things.
Yeah. Life was just harder for you. Right. But if you're willing to play in the mud with everyone else...
Get dirty, get your hands dirty.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so I don't have... to me, it's bothersome, but it's not the end of the world. It is what it is. And to be honest, a lot of the NFT artists, the community does this as well. On their end, it's Nifty Gateway and platforms like that, where like Nifty Gateway in particular is pretty egregious at it, in my opinion, where like you have to have a large following. And like this NFT community, I mentioned before, they dislike Instagram artists. A lot of them are like part of the fine art community, I've noticed. And the fine art community and the commercial artists basically the Hollywood artists, they don't like each other.
No, man.
They kind of hate each other. It's oil and water. We're like
just different ideologies, I think.
Yeah.
Different, reasons for being.
Yeah.
Making art.
And you don't truly understand how hard it is to do both until you try. And like, if you're like a commercial artist trying to get into the fine art realm, they're gonna like laugh at you. They're gonna be like, you're a joke, you're a sellout, your art's too commercial, it's too like not naive, but like simple. Like the concept, it's just appealing. That's all it is. You just want like,
it's not cerebral.
It's not cerebral. Right. Yeah. Whereas like the other artist, like the commercial artists, have this high and mighty attitude of like, well,
everyone loves me.
Yeah, everyone loves me, and I make money.
Yeah, I make so much more money than you.
Yeah, like you're a starving artist.
Yeah, you make money once in a while, and you try to cross your fingers. I have a steady paying job.
So both sides have weird animosity towards each other. So it's actually very kind of difficult for commercial larger artists to get in on the NFT space, because it's one, you get eaten alive if you try by your fans, because of
they did it to themselves though.
They did. But like some people who don't know any better will like do it and like step into all sorts of shit they were not prepared to step into.
And the fans of these people who made these videos sugaring NFTs, they eat these people alive.
Yeah,
they shame them. They call them all sorts of mean shit, man. It's despicable.
It is. When we say that the art community is kind of toxic, it is. Like it kind of is an understatement. The art like, I know we're known, artists, the brand we're known to be shy, introverted, sensitive. All we want to do
thoughtful,
is
empathetic.
Yeah. No, artists these days are savage. You tear each other to shreds, and like, I guess
publicly,
and there's no like, these are just people trying to make a living, trying to adopt this new tech. They're a bunch of nerds. Like, leave them alone.
Try this new thing.
If you don't like it, then just leave. I don't know. Why do you gotta like do that to people?
Yeah, you told me somebody recently just got attacked on Twitter, and there's just like this outcry of going like, please stop bullying people who do NFTs. If you disagree with what they do, then just don't follow them or whatever. But this harassment and name calling is like uncalled for. Yeah. And all these people promoting NFTs being like awful and stuff, they're crickets. Yeah. They don't say anything. No. They don't take responsibility for anything. I mean, like, I'm not the type of person to say like, you're responsible for what your fans do, but it's just kind of like amazing to watch them just like stand back while I just watch people get eaten alive. Yeah. Well, and I just see like, digital remains to me, which means like deleted tweets, just like like floating on the internet. I dislike. I also believe that like, you don't really have any control over what your fans do, but I also understand now, as someone who is growing a following, that like, I can't make certain videos knowing that certain things are going to happen. Like, I just won't do it because that's not okay. So like, I don't, like, for example, recently I told you that Scott Adams had a YouTube morning coffee with Scott Adams, and he was like asking his audience about this very controversial thing that he's very touchy about, that how much have I persuaded you to do the opposite thing. And then it was mostly the chat would rein in, and it would mostly be no's, but every time there would be a yes, it would freak him out. Like, we behind the screen, we like to play it up all the time, like we're just nobodies and all that bullshit. But we know the amount of power it is. Yeah. We know the amount of power, like, having visuals in a screen, what that does to a person's emotions. Yeah. And it's, the Spider-Man thing. With great power comes great responsibility. It's a huge responsibility to just talk bullshit on the internet. Yeah. And you could cause somebody to hurt somebody. But, that doesn't really fucking matter to you, does it? No. You're not going to take any responsibility for anything, are you? Because you're a fucking coward. You're just gonna be open about like shit shitting on something
or someone,
and then you're just gonna watch your fucking followers eat each other like it's like it's fucking StarCraft or something.
Yeah, it's not cool. Which is why I don't think I would ever do a video on a person. I would probably use
we always punch up, right? We always attack Disney.
Yeah.
We always attack the United States government.
Yeah.
Because we're just little plebes, and like we're trying to like really like if we're gonna fucking shit on something, it's something that we really want to shit on. I don't want to shit on artists. That's like, how low do you have to be? Like how like self-conscious and not confident in your life and what you take your time doing. You have to like spend all of this time and effort trying to shit on another person.
Yeah.
Who draws doodles. It's unbelievable. Like this art community, it's unbelievable. Like I swear I saw shades of this when I was at DeviantArt. I was like, man, like, you know, DeviantArt, it's a cesspool of like, you know, like young artists, and they're talking shit, but whatever. It'll never, like, I never thought this would be on Instagram, but I had a feeling, man, could.
Yeah.
And we're here.
Yeah. So seeing that like these Hollywood artists are like creating a whole platform to like collude together to like do NFTs. One, I was like, wow, Hollywood doing the spiteful Hollywood thing, because the reason why this exists is because of FOMO and spite that they're not being let in to these other curated platforms, and they know. I don't even know if
hurts their pride.
Yeah, it
that
hurts.
Like, we're big Hollywood. We worked on these big projects. What do you mean we're not a part of your club?
Yeah. So like, look at Lightbox, look at DreamWorks. Now look at this platform, and it's like, oh, this MO. I was appalled. Like, I wasn't shocked, because I was like, oh, of course. Of course. So that doesn't necessarily bother me. They also are minting their NFTs on Wax, which is a clean NFT, like I said before. I don't understand why they didn't just go with Tezos. To me, it tells me that they don't know anything about the community.
Did you explain this in detail? You should probably explain this in detail.
So Wax is a clean NFT, kind of like Tezos, except Tezos is worth more. Wax is worth like next to nothing currently. And
but you never know.
This platform is basically saying like, oh, we're gonna mint our NFTs on Wax because it's clean. And then I was like, oh, okay, so this is how all those people who have fans who will either eat them alive, or they have said that they won't do NFTs because it ruins the environment.
Is their workaround?
This is their way to have their cake and eat it too.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this makes it a little bit grosser. I'm already appalled, but it makes it a little bit grosser because now it feels hypocritical. It feels like you shat on this thing, you shat on the community, you shat on the people,
and you let your fans shit on the people,
and you don't want to get your fans to attack you. So we're gonna jump on this thing together, strengthen numbers, to hype people up, to make them feel FOMO, but also to be like, I didn't do anything wrong, these other people did. So again, that doesn't necessarily bother me that much. Clean NFT, whatever, it's a good publicity move, I guess. The thing that really got me this part is that the way it works is they put something up, you buy it with your credit card or with real US dollars, which it's called fiat money, and then crypto is called like decentralized currency.
And fiat money is like old school
paper
money,
like dollar bills.
Everyone's familiar with, right?
You buy it with fiat money, and then they mint it after it's bought, and then you get it on Wax. So that really made it clear to me that this is not a genuine thing. Like, it feels like a cash grab, because what that says to me is that you value paper currency more than cryptocurrency.
You're more invested in, old money,
yes,
than this new technology.
And that innocently seems like it's not a big deal, but it kind of is in the community, because all these artists are like, I want to get paid, but they don't understand crypto. Like crypto, you want to get paid in crypto. You want to get paid in Ethereum because it can double in a month. Like the reason why people are moving to cryptocurrency is because they don't believe in fiat currency. Because I explained this before, but there's inflation. It happens. And recently, there's a lot of inflation.
Have you, everybody at Burbank, have you gotten gas lately? It's almost $5.
Yeah.
Gas is almost $5.
I bet it'll go up to $6
next year.
I bet. And if you're aware, if you're like cheap like me and you pay attention to like your grocery bills and stuff, your food cost, everything is going up in price. And so even though you got your stimulus checks, even though you have your savings and your dollars, it's worth less like every single month at this point. That $1 that you have buys you less. Like, I don't even think you can get a bag of chips with that anymore, even the small ones. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, one, it's not even minted on a blockchain that is worth anything. Two, you're paying with your credit card. And I was just kind of like, this feels very disingenuous. It feels hypocritical. I am appalled. And I'm just kind of like, of course. Like, of course they would do this. Of course, like, they're too greedy and selfish to not take advantage. But then they f*** themselves when they were like, shitting on it. And they're like, oh shit, how do we unfuck ourselves? Oh, I know. We'll do this clean NFT. But, like, at least do it right. At least do the grifts right.
Well, okay, so there's this thing that happened with Ellen DeGeneres and Paris Hilton. And Ellen DeGeneres wanted to be cute or whatever, and, like, had this ridiculous cat drawing and was like, hey, NFT. And I suppose, you know, because we've made fan art, and, like, we know what it's like to really cater to somebody. We really want to, like, you know, oftentimes when someone gives us, let's say, an obscure anime character, we'll like Wikipedia them, and they usually have a wiki, and we'd read their characteristics, and then we'd really cater our art and the pose based on the character. And, like, you just want to just be that as the person providing a good business. When you see Helen's half-assed, you know, attempt at making an NFT, it's kind of insulting.
Yeah.
It's, what are you saying? Like any, you can just put throw like your cat drawing up, and all of a sudden people are just gonna, you know, flock to you. It's kind of like you're not paying attention to what's going on here. Whereas then what did Paris Hilton do?
So Paris Hilton did her due diligence and, like, followed a lot of the main players, I guess, in the NFT space. And then she created NFTs that were legitimately very cool. And
would people in the NFT community agree?
Yes. So the NFT community, like, imagine you're part of whatever group. You're part of this club. There's, like, a newcomer, and they're, like, pretending to like this thing that you like, but, like, very low effort, and they're just like,
I totally love Dragon Ball. I love anime.
Like that's Ellen. It feels disrespectful.
I see.
But then you get someone new, and they're like, yeah, I'm, like, really trying to learn all this stuff, and then they have a genuine effort, enthusiasm, and, like, really paying respect to this thing that you are a part of.
And, like, you can tell they're a plebe, but hey, it's pretty cool.
But it's cool.
Like, they're putting in the work. Yeah.
You're giving us the respect that is, like, polite, I guess. Like, it doesn't feel disingenuous. It doesn't feel like a weird cash grab. It doesn't feel like a like, cool, I'm gonna be part of this trend while it's hot and then go to the next trend when it's not. And, like, so when that to me shows me that, like, this community doesn't hate big name artists necessarily. They don't hate celebrities necessarily. They just want this new thing to grow, and they want to be respected. Like, anyone wants to be respected. When you're like Ellen and you're, like, just doodling a dumb cat thing and going, like, I'm gonna, like, people in the community were like, someone needs to buy it and burn it. Like, this needs to not exist. Like, we hate it. And
like you said in the previous podcast, the whole idea of burning something is just to make an NFT just simply not exist anymore.
Yeah, just like burning a fine art painting. Like, it's a thing. You can do it. And
wipe it off the face of the earth.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like, to me, when I was looking into this new platform, it just felt like, oh, gross, Hollywood. It reeks of Hollywood like
stank.
no other. And I was just kind of disappointed because I was like, for one, it kind of told me that like, okay, I need to be kind of careful in the things, the ideas that I share and the things that I say from now on, because it's very clear that there are people who
are listening. We know. We've heard.
And yeah, it's just a little frustrating. But then to have people agree with you but not publicly support you, in fact the very opposite. But then also like I was disappointed because I know how this works. Hollywood is very, very good in doing the FOMO thing, and they hate it when it's done to them.
But they're really good at doing it to other people.
Yeah. So I looked at this and I was like, it very well might work.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks because a lot of people
you just need a really strong symbol.
Yeah.
You know, ask a ton of art influencers.
Famous.
They'll never admit that they're art influencers, but you know, you get a bunch of art influencers to put your symbol in front of something, and then it's like, ooh, who's gonna have the next symbol? You know, that kind of thing. And it just like it just generates spite and FOMO. And it's just like, you know, it was kind of a miracle that we went into the Lightbox the first time, because like they were running out of vendors. They didn't really have many vendors, so we were like, oh, we're vendors because we have that much shit to sell. And they had us in. But like, I remember telling people at where I work that like, oh yeah, I'm like, are you gonna go to Lightbox? Yeah, I'm gonna be there. Come visit my table. It's this. And they were like, what? You're at Lightbox? And then I was like, yeah, I'm just, and then like, but I applied and how? And there was just so much like, and you know, you could see the roster.
Yeah.
Clear favoritism.
Friends of friends.
Friends of friends.
Yeah.
But it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you can try to not believe us all you want, but it's right in front of you.
Yeah. So I just felt very like disappointed that it can work, because a lot of people will be left holding the bag, because again, it's not minted on a blockchain that is worth anything, and that it really shows you how little they understand of this community in a way, because people are not buying this art for the art's sake. Again, it feels like artists developing a thing that the way artists do. Like, if you put yourself in the shoes of someone who actually buys art and all that, it's not, and in the shoes of collectors, it's very clear to me, like, there's an aspect to this that has nothing to do with your art. And like, sad to say, again, no one cares about artists and your art and how pretty your thing is. It's just, it's a lot of other things involved in it. And I just felt like, man, I don't know. It could work. It could not work. Who knows? But that is how Hollywood is secretly getting into NFTs. And it's just kind of sad.
It just goes to show you how much they don't believe in Hollywood.
Yeah. And like...
And like I said before, they're just telling students like, oh, Hollywood's great. You're going to be fine. You're totally going to have a job. I'm telling you right now, I'm not sure. Every day I'm like, I see like tweets about people getting laid off. I'm just like, let me notice.
Well, one of the things that also really bothered me generally about all of this is like, the reason why I got really into NFTs is because I really vibed, I guess, with the messaging.
The ethos.
Yeah, of like, decentralized currency means no one really controls it. It means that like power to the people. Like, it really democratizes things where like you can buy whatever you want. You don't necessarily have to pay taxes. But with a lot of these other platforms, there still is very possible ways for smaller artists to make it, to get accepted into these platforms, to do all these things. The more this happens, where like people are colluding together and like
artificial I don't know, art and attention is being made.
Yeah, it goes strictly against the message of NFTs. Like, the NFT community is all about the independent artists, like giving people a chance to not have to work for their man, to be like a fine artist. It's no longer just the fine artists who get to do this.
It has to do a commercial gig.
Yeah.
Once in a while.
You can, if you're a digital artist, you maybe one day can step away from freelance work
and maybe possibly retire. Wow.
Yeah, and like do things
with your life
on your own. And like, I love that idea. Like, it just aligned with who I was so completely. To see all of this, to know that like there are people that are very high up in the food chain, I guess. There are people who agree with me but hate me. There are people who like they want this life. They want this independent artist life. But they're just like not willing to bite the hand that feeds them, not willing to be like, yeah, Disney sucks, yeah, the industry sucks. Instead, they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have their fame and their fortune that comes with working in Hollywood. But they also want to be like, I want to dip my toes into NFTs as well, because like seems like everyone loves this. Oh yeah, I'm totally about that independent artist thing, but like fuck Janet, like okay. All of that just upsets me. I don't know what else to say. Just like I feel very like, man, this is gross. It stinks. It stinks. It's just I can't. I think when I found out about this, I just couldn't stop feeling icky for like the entire day. I was just like, Hollywood being Hollywood. What can I do?
Yeah, man. It's just upsetting, and I look at other artists and I go like, man, come on, dude.
It's upsetting how people are so not willing to take any kind of risk. I applaud the people who have big followings, who want to do NFTs and are just like, well, fuck you then.
Fuck you then.
Like, I'm doing what's best for me. Leave me alone. You don't pay me? Go unfollow me. You don't pay me. You don't do anything for my well-being. But like,
and I don't owe you a goddamn thing.
I don't owe you anything. But then for these people who are scared of this risk, are scared of like, oh, God forbid, losing the adoration of their fans, and then they're like, oh, I need both. And instead of risking anything, instead of standing for anything, they're just gonna be like, I'm gonna like do it the Hollywood way.
Yeah, so ultimately this episode was about the people who stood up and the people who are just gross.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Gross.
And the people who we assume, like, you know, the people who are just like standing up for themselves against all this critical HR, race theory stuff, and just telling people and standing in these little things, like we said, these little things like that we see, like we understand that you're trying, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And I don't know, with this whole NFT thing, like when you told me, I was like, this is so textbook Hollywood. Mm-hmm. This is so, like, I could already see what the campaigns are going to be like. They're going to generate FOMO, and then they're going to prop up their friends, not up-and-coming new artists.
Yeah, they're never going to let you in. No, none of you small-time artists.
Yeah, because they need to keep the thunder for themselves. Yeah. This isn't about
this is about them and their friends.
Yeah, this is about them and their friends. Yeah. This isn't about, you know, I think, okay, I'm going to have a whole spiel about death.
Okay.
People are dying. And just recently, in our alma mater, a good teacher, great teacher, Gary Meyer, recently passed away. And I've been thinking a lot about the people who were left, the real so-called legends that we have left, like people like Scorsese, people like Paul McCartney and Eric Clapton, like people we still have left, like, you know, all of these really talented people. They're getting up there in age, and these people, you know, made the White Album, made, you know, Goodfellas. These people made like Taxi Driver. These people did incredible things, and in maybe by the end of this decade, we won't have a lot of these people anymore, and it just makes me really think that like we always say this after every podcast, but really it's up to you now. It really is, because there's nobody, like, when after, you know, when 2030 happens, I don't know, man. There better be some new legends coming up, because like if we don't have any, I don't know, I think art and creativity and self-expression is doomed. And you know, like people on YouTube, they feel like their potential is to just like, I don't know, correct people's drawings and you know, prop up each other using nepotism and all these things. But like, I think like, man, I'm what I want is another Scorsese.
Yeah.
What I want is another Eric Clapton. What I want is like I want legends here. And if you're out there like, you know, peddling your shit for the follows and for vanity, you're not going to be a legend, man.
No.
You're not. And I think we have a responsibility to art to not let this die.
Yeah.
You know, we had a whole podcast about cinema and it dying, and how, you know, people like Scorsese feel like there's nothing, like we're doomed, like truly. And you know, we owe the legends who we stand on to keep this thing alive, you know. And like, for me, the biggest betrayal is that not that people are standing up for what they think is right, not for standing up for people who are getting hurt online. What really bothers me is like, people don't love it enough to risk everything to make their I don't know, you know, to possibly become the next legend. And that is sad, because you know, the height is you know, you draw this in your style. That's it. Yeah. And that's as far as we've come as a species of artists. That's our crowning achievement in the last decade. We created art trends, and we got, and like, you know, and in the beginning, I really thought it was cool, like genuinely. In the beginning, I thought it was like, wow, look at this, like, you know, this Inktober thing, this mermaid thing, all of this stuff is encouraging people to draw. But now it's like, you can tell, like, this is all for commerce. This is all for marketing. This is all for copyright. You know, instead of the innocent push for people to just encourage them to create every day. It's more like to participate in your brand so that they can, you know, whatever, participate in your commerce. And it's just disgusting. But I don't know. I look at what you're doing and I see, you know, all the little small wins that you have. And I used to worry, you know, like in the beginning of the podcast, we talked about like how lonely we felt. And I used to worry, like, my God, are we ever going to get out of this? Are we like, it feels like, I think the climb from like 1,000 to 10K was like crazy. It took forever to make money off of this thing. Not that like we wanted vanity. We really just wanted to make a life for ourselves of creativity. And
to just bet on this thing that we really believe in. And that of like, I'm just gonna be myself, take it or leave it. And
it's a little different, it's a little unusual, it's scary. You hate Janet. I understand that. Like, I say all the time, like, we built this into the show. We know you're gonna hate her. I know you're gonna hate her. She's like, I know how people were at college around her. And I just think that, like, out of everyone, like, this is why you're my partner. I just think you're just the most interesting person in the world, because you are willing to say what's on your mind and be unfiltered, and not worry about, you know, how it looks with your social standing with people. 'Cause, like, you hate that shit. You hate being part of any group.
I hate it. I hate it.
Please opine about how much you hate about being a part of a group.
I hate it so much that I think growing up, I didn't understand what it was.
Being in a club?
Yeah. I didn't understand why I disliked people who needed to be accepted by other people so desperately. I would be like, what is wrong with you? You're like doing all these things, dressing a certain way just to be liked. They don't like you. They're never gonna like you. They like themselves. You like yourself too much. And then I would like go into like animation, not realizing that's exactly what that was. Like I'm stepping into this club, and in order, this fraternity, this brother and sisterhood of just like, if I didn't,
spiteful animation people.
Yeah, where I didn't realize that for the rest of my career, that is what I will be a part of until it was too late. Like I played the game and then innocently not knowing that was what I was getting myself into. And then I get myself into it and I have to like self-eject. I have to be like, no.
Peace.
No. And then like there are aspects of the NFT community that, again, that are a little too similar to my taste, to just like Hollywood. And that's why I'm like, it's kind of life. It's kind of everywhere. No matter how much you want to avoid it, humanity is like that, I guess.
If you were to have, this will never come true, but if you were to have one wish for the community, what would it be? And, you know, if you're going to say it out loud, it's probably not going to happen. But, like, if you were to wish something for the community, what would it be?
That I really wish the community wouldn't just be friends with other successful people and then always like and retweet each other. I wish,
because it seems like the whole art community is against you.
Yeah.
So you might as well, the NFT community might just do that Hollywood strategy back at Hollywood.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
I don't like that. Like I want it to stay kind. I want it to stay an aspect of it of like independent artists helping each other. Like not necessarily just like, oh, let's be friends, you're successful, I'm successful, let's keep on retweeting each other's art so that like you keep selling and I keep selling and like we're part of this ecosystem. But then like I want people to remember what it was like to be new, to like,
hey, I made something cool.
Yeah, to be new to a community and to not be accepted and to be like, this is who I am. I'm putting myself out there. I hope you like this and I hope I can contribute or whatever. I want people to remember how lonely it is and how hard it is. But it seems like it's way too common for people to just forget.
Yeah,
I
think Hollywood people don't want that. They don't want to work from the zero all the way up.
No, that's why they're colluding.
Yeah, they don't want the meritocracy. They want like easy access to the top of the food chain. You know, they don't want to really work for it, really.
Yeah, and I think for me, as someone who is like allergic, like deathly allergic to that, I see that and I'm like gritting my teeth and going like, it's life. It's going to be everywhere no matter what, and I have to deal with it. But at the same time, it's like I'm not going to ever like bend as much as I did for like Hollywood. So I'm like, if I have to have it a little bit harder, go work at it from zero and like go it a little bit more alone compared to like, you know, everyone else,
then
okay, then it is what it is. I'd rather that than like it just feels icky. I was already part of something like that and I was like, no no I don't want to be part of your group. No. I'd rather be alone in the woods and just leave me alone.
What happened though? I don't think your wish
to be alone in the woods.
No, to that like people will just be kind to each other.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Yeah. So, I'm going to recommend Kermode. Follow Kermode's channel, where he has been reviewing movies for years and years and years, for a little more than a decade now, I think. And, you know, if you can think of a movie in the past 15 years, Kermode's probably reviewed it.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I used to be an avid watcher of Siskel and Ebert when I was little. I used to be like, oh, all of these movies, some of them I'm not allowed to watch, but like, you know, just to be able to understand there's a premise about like, ooh, there's like gangsters and all this stuff. And the idea of how people like Ebert measure a movie, you know, like, you know, how he encourages you to even watch bad movies sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when Ebert passed, it was like, dang, no one, not a lot of
fill that
people
void.
can fill that void. And it's pretty cool. I think there are a lot of really young, up and coming, and they make, stuff on YouTube. I really like listening to Jeremy Johns because I like listening to different people based on like, the demographic. And for me, Jeremy Johns represents the every person, just the average moviegoer. And then someone like Chris Stuckman, who I think is on his way becoming a fine movie critic, is like, a little bit more film buffy, a little more sweaty, as they say.
I see.
But Kermode, what we love about people like Kermode and people like Ebert, these like really established critics, is like it's not about if the movie is good or bad. It's more about how it fits in the great pantheon and history of, for example, cinema.
Yeah.
And I think Kermode honors that, and whenever he reviews a movie, he's very, very brutally honest and very rare. Like, I would disagree with him, sure, but like I would always be like, well, I can understand because he gave out really good reasons as to why you feel the way you do. What do you think about Kermode?
I love him. So I don't like film critics in general. I don't like. They're fine. I can watch a YouTube film review every once in a while, but a lot of the times I have a tendency to be like, you sound like you're a little full of shit sometimes. In particular, it's hard when I listen to people talk about filmmaking, because unless you have made films before or worked
in one yourself,
or worked in Hollywood in general, there are certain aspects that feel like if you're not an artist, or if you're not, how would you know these things? Like, it feels like you are repeating something someone else said.
Your professor probably said.
It feels shallow. But Kermode reminds me of some of the teachers we had who, like, back in the day were like film critics. like the definition of that word. So when I listen to him, I feel like he's so knowledgeable. And
like you're in good hands.
Yeah. Like he almost as if he's a film historian talking about this new movie and why it's good and what references it has, and like
I love it when he says, I see shades of Tarkovsky and I see shades of Kubrick and I see all this stuff,
and he's constantly recommending old movies that I need to watch that are like essential art house movies, or like just essential film history movies that not only are just historically essential but good, like very entertaining, very good. So he always like gives me something to think about when he's reviewing a movie, and he does this beautiful thing that he doesn't completely spoil the movie when he reviews it. It's amazing. I don't know how like us having done a few film reviews, it's really hard because all I want to do is talk about spoilers. I don't know how to sum up a movie and my thoughts on it without getting into certain key moments.
He summarizes the movie in such a vague way, but he's able to like convey what his opinions. Man. And recently I need to see this movie. I saw the trailer for this a long time ago. It's this movie with Riz Ahmed from what is that? The Night Before and Rogue One. Great actor. And he plays this drummer. I'll put a poster right here. Here's the poster for the movie. And he plays this drummer who starts to lose his hearing. And Kermode really, really, really gave that a really good review. And it's really nice to see someone that established and someone who is that passionate about cinema just gush over something that he's like this amazing experience that he's had.
I want to watch it.
I want to watch it too, but like the problem is I don't want to watch it at home. I want to watch it in theaters. And we did watch a movie in theater. Pretty soon we're gonna have a review for the first season of Demon Slayer and the very first movie we saw in theaters during like the first movie since all of this pandemic started, the Demon Slayer movie, Mugen Train. So look out for that.
Make sure to like, jingle, all the bells and buttons. I see you. I see you. Please press those buttons because it really does help us out. You guys are the best for doing it lately. And check out these other videos over here to binge our other episodes. Head over to honeyandabsinthe.com to help support this channel by buying some merch. We have all sorts of things, prints, mugs, shirts, all the things. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.